It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 26th day of July, 2021. I'm coming to you from Bedford County in Central Virginia. Excited about today's show. Listen, folks, just so you'll know, a lot happened in the cruise and travel industry, over the weekend. And today we've got Norwegian sailing for the first time with a paid passenger. We've got our friend Jason is on the Celebrity Equinox, which is a new celebrity ship that sailed this weekend. We've got Princess sailing in Alaska. We got Holland America sailing in Alaska. A lot's been going on, but I have a special guest today. And by the way, tomorrow we will have a special visit from Adam Coulter on board the Norwegian Jade that sailed from Athens, Greece yesterday. And on Wednesday, hopefully, I have not confirmed it yet, but hopefully on Wednesday we'll have Jason Garland on board the Celebrity Equinox. So with no further ado, let's get down to business today. Again, we have a Chillie Chat with one of our favorite writers in the world, Jeannine Williamson. We've tried to do this several times. But now we're finally going to talk about the Golden Horizon. Jeannine, welcome to Chillie Chats again.
Thank you very much, Chillie. Yeah, sorry it didn't work out, but now I'm back on dry land. We can chat now, so it's all good.
The Golden Horizon is I have trouble getting the proper terminology, a five-masted barque tall ship.
It is indeed. And it's the biggest one in the world.
And it is absolutely gorgeous. In case people don't know what I'm talking about, I've got it. Where's your picture of that one? There it is. That is the ship. That is just lovely. Okay.
And an interesting little factoid that if you put all the sails together on the ground, they'd cover the size of a football pitch. Well, an English football pitch. I'm not sure how large yours are. So that is a lot of sails. Yeah.
All right. The Golden Horizon. That's the captain. You better say his name because I'll screw it up.
Oh, well, with apologies to him if I also mess it up. But yeah, Captain Mariusz Salek, and he's from Poland.
And you sailed with him once before, did you not? So
I did. So hence, yes, why we're pictured here, because it was a wonderful surprise. I mean, I walked on board and in fact, that just to digress, the strange sticker on my front, that was the COVID test before we got on. So that was all very reassuring. We all had that done and we all passed. And yeah, he was waiting to greet everybody at the top of the steps. And, I'm sure he obviously sees so many people, but I thought, gosh, I recognize him. But in turn, I was delighted he actually recognized me too, because he was at the helm of a tall ship, a very epic transatlantic crossing that I did 3 years ago now, which was 17 days from Barbados to Lisbon without a stop. So we all got to know each other pretty well then.
When you're on a tall ship and you're at sail, you're free, I assume, to be up on deck. How noisy is it just from the noise of the sails?
I mean, it's not noisy in terms of an annoying noise. I mean, it's actually a wonderful noise. When you do the sail away, the masts, they unfurl the sails for the first time. And I mean, that really is an absolutely thrilling moment. I would say it's a real, hair standing up on the back of your neck moment. And I mean, interestingly, as we know, all cruise ships have sail away music. Often they pick a popular song or tune. This one's very interesting because Tradewind Voyages, who run Golden Horizon, actually had a special piece of music composed especially for this ship. So you won't hear it anywhere else. It's very stirring, quite dramatic things. But going back to your question, when you're completely under sail, it's wonderful because all you can really hear, it's just like watching a film or a movie. You can hear the creak of the ropes and the sails and the wind filling the sails. And, it's a lovely, lovely sound. So not noisy, just a beautiful sound.
Yeah. This is one of my bucket lists is to someday sail on one of those, which I realized that They're not the most accessible vehicles in the world. But and let's see, a little bird tells me that Jeannine was messing around with the adult beverages on this cruise again too. Is that true?
Oh, well, to welcome us all aboard, we've all been on dry land for too long, so you've got to celebrate a little bit. Yes, this was when I just got on, and this was one of the most popular spots, this wonderful pool deck bar, and they have other bars. This was on the pool deck. So that was a mojito to celebrate getting on board. And I don't know if you said the little bird, but I've got one here I thought was themed to the special Golden Horizon type of sailing.
All right. In your travels, I realize you're just around the UK, but now you've traveled down, you've gotten on the ship, you've sailed for a week, you got back home. Did you feel safe the whole time? Were you comfortable traveling and sailing?
In terms of the sailing part of it, or in terms of the health?
In terms of both health and sailing.
I mean, again, we've discussed this and you've talked about it with other people. All the cruise lines now have their own individual policies in place. Again, this one was very, very thorough. Our cruise was a round trip Dover sailing. When we got to Dover, we all had to have a test, sit and wait for approximately 20 minutes while the results came through, had the aforementioned sticker stuck on us, and on we went on board. If you hadn't, well, most people now have masks, but if you needed spares, there were masks in the room, very thorough deep cleaning of the cabins, hand sanitizers everywhere, temperature checks, and wearing masks around the ship, which is the usual deal now. Fine when you're on deck, fine when you're sitting down. So yeah, felt really safe.
One of the most surprising things I found in the pictures you sent me, one is of the dining room. And this surprised me from two standpoints. One, the absolute loveliness of the dining area, but then how tall this ship actually is on the interior.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that looks like a full-size cruise ship. I've been on cruise ships that dining rooms aren't a whole lot different than that.
I mean, this really was the central heart of the ship. It's a beautiful, beautiful room. As you can see, it spans 2 decks. And it's linked by these lovely curving staircases. The table that we're looking at here is like the captain's table, the one in the middle. Then it's surrounded on 2 sides or 3 sides by tables for 2 to 6. While at the moment we all, have to travel in groups of 6 and whatnot. But it's a stunning room. It's beautiful, and it has natural light from the swimming pool. Actually, one of the swimming pools is right above the dining room, set in the ceiling, and the light from that shines down into the ship. So you might possibly not want to be going swimming when it's at a meal time, because other people can look up and see you in the pool. Helpful hint. Don't wear anything too revealing if you do go in at that time.
Is there just the one dining room, or are there multiple dining areas?
That's the main dining room, and obviously enough to seat everybody. Then they have a casual dining area in the tropical bar, which is outside. That serves like lighter bites at lunchtime and in the evening. There's also snacks and early riser breakfast in the main lounge. And if you want to, if it's a lovely day, nobody stops you, you can take your meal up and eat it on deck on the sun deck.
One of the things that I found interesting about the Horizon, and speaking of the captain, the bridge, the door to the bridge, where the captain drives the boat. It's open. I mean, you can walk in and chat to the man while he's working if you want. Is that not the case?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's really is a standout feature, because we all know on the big ships, the captain and the officers, they're high in the bridge, and you really never see them at that, unless there's a captain's cocktail party and things like that. But on this, it's wonderful, because they really encourage you. You're not made to feel a nuisance. If you're walking along the deck and the captain's coming towards you, or another officer, they'll say good morning, and that's your entree. If you want to stop and have a chat with them, they'll answer questions. And then the actual wheelhouse itself, as you say, where they drive the ship, that has an open door policy. So if you're passing and you want to drop by and maybe look at some charts or ask some technical questions, if you're really interested in that sort of thing, they'll always help you. I mean, there obviously is a proviso if they're coming in or out of port, or they're doing a very technical maneuver, then clearly it's shut because they can't be surrounded by people, and then they'll just rope it off. But no, any other time, if they're walking around, you can talk to them. And people really, that was one of the points people made, they really, really appreciated that and found it really interesting.
Well, speaking of the deck, that's a lovely shot of the deck. I'm so fascinated with this thing. Okay, now you got your cabin. Tell us, was this your cabin that you sent a picture of?
No, this was slightly larger than mine, but I mean, they're all lovely. They're of this similar ilk. This was one of the balcony cabins, because unusually there are some balcony cabins on this ship. They're all done, as you can see. It's a very nautical theme in the carpet. You can see it's like a rope with some knots in it, lots of dark wood, shiny brass, lovely nautical maritime prints on the wall. So this is the real feel. It really evokes the golden age of sailing, but with all your modern conveniences, which is great, because I mean, this ship was actually based on one that was launched in 1913, the France 2, and it's a pretty good replica of it, but of course with all the things that modern day sailors would require. So it's a great mix of two things.
Is that looking out your cabin window?
Yes, that was, yeah. I think that was when we were coming into the Isle of Wight.
Awesome.
Which is one of our stops. So
I mean, that's really good fun. Another one looking out a porthole.
And most of the cabins have these porthole windows, which they don't open, but I think that makes it really, really atmospheric, because you really do feel that you've stepped back in time and you're really sailing, and it just creates the whole experience and really, to me, enhances it. I wouldn't want a square window on a ship like this. And
that's, if I remember correctly from the tag with the picture, that is the library.
There's a lovely new library, lots of beautiful new books, obviously a lot of maritime books which are free to borrow for the duration of the cruise, and puzzles and things like that. It is quite interesting because they keep really in the theme of what this is all about. This isn't about, the ship is the experience. So if you're going to go on board looking for a casino, for all singing, all dancing entertainment, you're not going to get that. But what you will get is a really authentic experience, with things like interesting talks by experts and indeed the officers on maritime matters, fun classes like knot tying, deck quoits, things like that, more simple things that are really in theme with the actual beauty of the ship itself and sailing.
All right, now I saw one of these pictures and I said, oh
dear,
this is probably,
whenever
this
you
is
say that,
Jeannine in a wetsuit, and I know we're in trouble. You got to tell me about it. I'm sure I'm not going to like it, but tell me about you in the wetsuit.
Okay. Well, I mean, the good news is I still fitted into it at the end of the week, given all the lovely food on board. But this, again, is a standout feature on this ship, and something I've never, ever seen before on a cruise ship of any size, is a diving pool where you can actually have taster scuba diving lessons. Or if you're more experienced, you can actually go on when the ship reaches warmer waters, and that you will be able to complete a certified PADI diving course with dives in this pool, which is over 4 meters deep, and then combined with the sea. So I did a taster session.
Is that what this picture was?
Yeah, I think there I was going
down into the diving pool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I see, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Now, was the water really cold?
Well, you've got the wetsuit on, so after the initial pool getting in, you actually feel really, really warm. And the guy who does it, Craig, he's a very, very good teacher. He's got a great sense of humour. He really makes you feel relaxed if you've never done it before. He cracks jokes, but at the same time is really, really professional, running through all the equipment. Right. And so you can go down right to the bottom, and these 45-minute sessions. And again, this is quite funny because it's like really being in a human aquarium, because of course you enter the pool on the sun deck, but clearly to go down all these meters, it has to go through other decks. So if you happen to be in the shop at the same time. You can look up to see the bottom of the pool, or if you happen to be in the conference room where they do the talks and some activities, you can see the glass sides to the pool. So you might see people like me floundering around in it.
And I assume there's absolutely no skinny dipping allowed.
I would hope not. That could be an issue.
See, that's the nice thing about having a pool at the farm. If I want to go skinny dipping, ain't nothing just going to stop me from doing it. I wouldn't want to do it on that ship, though. I have to
well, unless you're an exhibitionist.
Right.
No, the dive pool was a great feature. I mean, I've never seen it before.
This was one you sent, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I looking at?
It's the top of a dessert taken from the top. I know you like your food, Chillie, so I thought I'd include a couple of food photographs.
Okay, so that's a chocolate something or another with all kinds of fruit, and tell me about it.
I mean, it was a lovely creamy dessert, and I say with this on the top, it almost looked good to eat, but needless to say, I did eat it. It wasn't that so beautiful that I could resist it. But yeah, again, food was very, very good. Different choices at each meal, imaginative, different themes. So and this was the desserts a highlight, and also they did, which was an eagerly awaited daily occurrence, like an afternoon tea with canapes. So you're never going to go hungry. There's snacks from first thing in the morning right through.
All right, for all of us that have cruised on numerous cruise lines, numerous ships, and many of my, I don't think anybody in my audience has done the total number of cruises I've done, but we've got some really experienced folks out there. How does the food compare on the horizon to some of the other cruise lines you've been on? Good, bad, better? Equal to?
I mean, as we know, Chillie, because there are so many cruise lines, and the food is different. This isn't, you wouldn't build this because of the ship and everything as a luxury cruise experience. I mean, it's really, really comfortable. The ship is the experience. The ship is beautiful. The food is really good, but it's not gourmet. So you're not going to go on expecting caviar and things like that. But it's more than adequate. Plenty of choice. So no, it is really good.
Again, I'm just absolutely fascinated. Of course, that's the lady at sea.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know you're a writer and you're smarter than I am? Do you know the difference in calling a ship a he and the ship a she?
Well, I've always called them she, but if you beg to differ, please correct me or say where this.
I had this pointed out to me by somebody obviously smarter than I am, which I mean, a turnip smarter than I am. But anyway, actually, this was the honest truth. If you do not have any experience with a given ship, you haven't been on it, you don't know it, you refer to it in the masculine. If you have had some experience with the ship or some contact with the ship or someone on the ship, you refer to it in the feminine. I didn't know that, but it makes sense because I've heard people say, both. And I'm thinking, why are you calling it a masculine name? That's why.
Well, so, I've never heard that. So there you go. You learn something I've never ever heard.
I know every day. I can't believe Jeannine learned something from the old fat guy. That's terrific. Tickle pink. And that's, of course, now see, my brother-in-law will go nuts over that. He's the not nut in my family. But you got tons of ropes all over the place with this kind of ship.
Yes, and that again is the fascinating thing about it, because you might be on the sun deck reading a book or sitting out in the sun, but all around you, members of the crew will be working, especially if they're setting the sails, putting them up and down. So they're bustling around you. All these ropes are beautifully, neatly tied. I mean, one question actually, because I've been asked it, so sorry if I might preempt something you might ask, but several people have asked me, can you actually work on the ship, help out with things? And the answer is no, really, because it is such a technical operation.
Right.
Obviously, you've seen the number of sails, you've seen the number of ropes. So it isn't possible, but they do things like the talks. You can do the knot time classes and things like that. So it would be wrong, you know, people mustn't think they can go on board and they're going to be sailing and helping with things. But it's absolutely fascinating just to see the whole operation, because it's so intricate when you see the number of ropes and the sails and how they trim them, and you decide which ones to use according to the conditions.
Now, I realize because you're on that other side of the pond over there, that I'm just a damn dumb colonist to you and a lot of your folks. But you had this weird guy on the ship with you running around in a skirt. Tell me about the dude in the skirt.
Oh, he was a lovely gentleman. Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise to see him, I have to say, on the first day. He's called David Graham, and I'm probably going to, again, pronounce this incorrectly, from the Glenwivis distillery, clearly, as you can see, in Scotland. I mean, why he was there was because originally, and I was on the inaugural sailing with passengers on this ship, it was due to go around Scotland. But of course, as you know, sadly, although I could cycle into Scotland or parachute into Scotland or climb into Scotland, walk, ride a bicycle, I'm not allowed to go there by cruise ship yet, as nobody else is. So all credit to Tradewind Voyages, and indeed many other cruise lines that had to quickly change their itineraries. So David was already booked to come on board to do whiskey tastings whilst in Scotland. However, undeterred, they carried on, and he did them where we were, and they were very popular, and it was fun. It was a boutique distillery that he comes from. So I have to confess, I don't drink whiskey, and they also, we found out, distilled gin at this distillery, which he had on board. So he very kindly did the gin tasting for us.
And I see, I would probably try the whiskey, but I wouldn't try the gin, because I stay away from anything clear.
Okay,
But that's
well, there you go.
Another story. But all right, let's see who's over in the chat room. Gretchen's here. Hey, Gretchen. Gretchen says, "Wow, that's like Tom Henry's with us." Tom, you'll appreciate tomorrow's show with coming from the Jade. Tom says, on the phone for JetBlue, estimated wait 189 minutes. Good grief! I wouldn't do that. Emily's with us from up in New York. She says, hello, gang. Sonny from down Mississippi says, hi, everybody. Gretchen says, wow, again, that's beautiful. Nice cabin. Wood gleams from Sonny. Tom Henry says, beautiful. Nikki says, hi from Jacksonville. 81 degrees in Jacksonville. That's nice. Has Jeannine ever been to Holcomb Rogus?
I have to No, I haven't.
Okay.
Where is it?
Nikki, you're going to have to tell us what the hell Holcomb Rogus. I don't even know. I'm not sure on that. Tom Henry says hi on the high humidity for Nikki down there in Jacksonville. Tom Henry says, I'll try not to pass out today and land on doggy dishes. Got more bushes to clean up. John Reitmeyer, hey, Crazy John from up Minnesota, our resident pot farmer. Hey, John. He says, good morning to you, Jeannine. Mississippi Sunny says it's hot, humid, mid-90s there. It's going to be 90. No, it's going to be 89 here today, cold front. It was 94 yesterday here. I can't ever remember on your temperature how much that is, Jeannine. A lot. It's hot. Let's see. Emily tells me like I don't know this. Emily is all the time keeping me straight. She says manly skirts are called kilts. Yes, I know that. I'm making fun of Jeannine and me being a unwashed colonist. Let's see. John says, I was on the phone with Delta Airlines and it said 18-hour expected time. They never did call me back. Wow. Yeah, I hang up on people like that. Oh, here we go. Nikki says, Holcomb Manor, 20 miles from Somerset, finest example of a Tudor house in Devon.
Okay, well, it sounds wonderful. We weren't there on this sailing, but I'll certainly look out for it in the future. You see, again, you always learn something new.
See, Jeannine, you learned 2 things today.
Yeah.
2 things today. That's just absolutely terrific. All right, guys, that's going to, oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Emily says I'm being silly. Yeah, I try to be silly all the time. And Tom Henry says, for my information, Chillie, I passed out from low blood sugar after doing some hedge trimming on Sunday. Wow, I didn't know that. Was feeling bad, went inside to get some juice and found myself sitting on Penny's dishes Cindy had just added. Ooh, that's not good. I know Penny's the dog.
I did wonder.
So, yeah, Tom, Tom, you're not as young as you used to be either. I gave Martin hell yesterday about doing some of that stuff that, young athletes do. And he's old and like me, cuddly. That's a nice way of saying that. So anyway, Jeannine, I will say this, and I'll be politically incorrect. You look lovely in a wetsuit.
Oh, thank you. I thought I'd wear something a bit, the wetsuit.
Thought I'd throw that in. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up for today. Again, Jeannine, thank you so much for being with me. I don't know about anybody else, but I've sure enjoyed talking finally about the Golden Horizon. We've been trying to do this for weeks now, and finally got a good discussion on the Golden Horizon. So thank you so much for being with us, and we'll look forward to your next adventure, which is coming up real soon. We'll tease that one.
My pleasure, Chillie.
Okay, Jeannine, we'll see you next time. Okay. For everybody else, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, same time, same place, and we'll have a special guest tomorrow, Mr. Adam Coulter from Cruise Critic, and he was actually in Crete when I talked to him this morning. But we're going to talk about Norwegian Jade. That's tomorrow. All right, guys. Thanks for being with us. Thanks again, Jeannine. We'll see you next time. Later, y'all. I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie Chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.